What's up, Wrestle Scope family, and welcome to the most explosive breakdown you'll see today. Before we dive into this absolute chaos that's erupting in WWE right now, let me ask you something. Do you really think WWE is being honest with us? Because what I'm about to expose will make your blood boil. We've got Oba Femi going psycho on Drew McIntyre in an attack that WWE is trying to downplay. John Cena making a return that raises more questions than answers. A contract rejection that WWE executives are furious about. And CM Punk targeting Seth Rollins in what might be the most personal feud we've seen in years. But here's what WWE isn't telling you. And trust me, you're going to want to stick around for this because by the end of this video, you'll see WWE in a completely different light. Hello viewers, if you're new here, please don't forget to like and hit the subscribe button for daily updates on WWE Raw. Now, let me tell you something that's going to absolutely infuriate you, and I need you to drop a comment right now telling me if you agree or disagree because this is controversial. WWE is lying to your face. They're trying to sell you a narrative that everything happening right now is spontaneous and organic, but I've got sources, real sources backstage, who are telling me a completely different story. Let's talk about Oba Femi's attack on Drew McIntyre. You saw it, right? The viciousness, the intensity, the way security had to pull him off Drew like a rabid animal. But here's what makes me angry. WWE knew this was coming. They've been building this behind the scenes for weeks, but they wanted you to think it was a surprise. Why? Because they don't trust their audience anymore. They think we're stupid. They think we can't handle real storytelling, so they feed us these shocking moments that are about as shocking as the sun rising in the morning. And don't even get me started on how they're treating Drew McIntyre in all of this. This man has been one of the most loyal performers in that company. He carried them through the pandemic. He's given them everything. And this is how they repay him? By having a rising star use him as a stepping stone without even giving Drew a real storyline reason for it? You know what? Drop a comment right now if you think WWE is disrespecting Drew McIntyre, because I'm tired of watching them do this to their veterans. Oba Femi attack. All right, let's break down what actually happened with Oba Femi and Drew McIntyre, because the mainstream wrestling media is getting this wrong. Last week on NXT, yes, NXT, not even the main roster, which makes this even more significant, Oba Femi launched what can only be described as an assault on Drew McIntyre. We're not talking about a wrestling match. We're not talking about some worked angle. This looked personal. This looked real. And that's exactly what WWE wanted. Oba Femi, for those who don't know, is this absolute monster they've been building down in NXT. The man is 6'5", 270 pounds of pure destruction. He held the NXT North American Championship for over 300 days. He's been positioned as the most dominant force in NXT history, and now WWE is pulling the trigger on his ascension to the main roster. But here's where it gets interesting, and here's where WWE's manipulation starts to show. Drew McIntyre wasn't even supposed to be on NXT that night. According to my sources, Drew is scheduled for a dark match taping, and then suddenly, plans changed. Suddenly, Oba Femi needs a moment. Suddenly, Drew's being fed to this rising star to give him credibility. The attack itself was brutal. Femi came out of nowhere, no music, no announcement, just pure violence. He blindsided Drew with a devastating lariat that turned Drew inside out. Then while Drew was down, Femi picked him up and delivered not one, not two, but 3 consecutive powerbombs on the steel ramp. The crowd was shocked into silence. You could hear a pin drop in that arena. And when security finally pulled Femi off, he was screaming at Drew, pointing at him, making it clear that this was just the beginning. Now, WWE wants you to believe this is about establishing dominance and making a statement, but let me tell you what this is really about. This is about WWE panicking. They know they've got a Drew McIntyre problem on their hands. Drew's contract situation has been complicated. He's been vocal about wanting certain creative control. He's been frustrated with his booking. And instead of handling it like professionals, instead of giving Drew the respect he deserves, they're using him as a stepping stone without even giving Drew a real storyline reason for it. You know what Drew McIntyre should be doing right now? He should be in the world title picture. He should be main eventing WrestleMania. He should be having the run that Roman Reigns had. But instead, WWE is using him as a glorified enhancement talent for their NXT prospects. And Oba Femi? Don't get me wrong, the kid has talent. He's got all the tools to be a future world champion. But this isn't how you build stars. You don't build stars by sacrificing your established veterans without a proper storyline. You don't create the next big thing by destroying what came before without giving it meaning.
Here's what WWE should have done. They should have built this as a legitimate feud, have Oba call out Drew, have Drew dismiss him, build the tension over weeks, give us a reason to care about why Oba is targeting Drew specifically. Is it respect? Is it jealousy? Is it because Drew represents everything Oba wants to become? But no, WWE wants that instant gratification. They want that social media clip that goes viral. They want that, oh my god, did you see that moment, without putting in the work to make it matter. And you know what the worst part is? Drew is going to sell this attack. He's going to make Oba Femi look like $1 million, because that's what Drew does. He's a professional. But WWE is taking advantage of that professionalism, and it makes me sick. John Cena returns. Now, let's talk about the elephant in the room, John Cena's return. John Cena returned to WWE programming and the internet exploded. Everyone's talking about his retirement tour. Everyone's speculating about his WrestleMania plans. Everyone's excited to see the GOAT one more time. But let me ask you something. Are you really excited, or are you excited because WWE told you to be excited? Here's what happened. Cena shows up, gives an emotional promo about his retirement tour, announces he's entering the Royal Rumble, talks about wanting one more World Championship run to break Ric Flair's record, and the crowd goes absolutely wild. It was vintage Cena. The charisma, the delivery, the connection with the audience. Nobody does it like John Cena. Even his haters have to admit the man is a legend. But here's what's got me concerned, and here's what should concern you. This is the same playbook WWE has used for the last decade. Bring back a legend, pop the ratings, sell some merchandise, and then what? Where's the long-term storytelling? Where's the investment in the future? John Cena doesn't need another world championship. He doesn't need to break Ric Flair's record. You know who needs that spotlight? The current roster. The people who are there every single week, grinding it out, trying to build their legacies. Now, before you blow up in the comments calling me a Cena hater, let me be crystal clear. I have nothing but respect for John Cena. The man is a legend. He's earned everything he's gotten. He's one of the greatest of all time. But my issue isn't with Cena, it's with WWE's dependency on part-timers. Think about it. Every single year, WWE brings back legends to boost their major events. The Rock, Stone Cold, Undertaker, Goldberg, and now Cena on his retirement tour. And every single time, it takes spotlight away from the full-time roster. You've got guys like LA Knight who are white hot with the crowd, who can't get a proper world title run. You've got Drew McIntyre, who we just talked about, being used as a stepping stone. You've got incredible talents like Gunther, who should be positioned as the future of the company, but they keep getting overshadowed by nostalgia acts. The reality that WWE doesn't want you to know, they don't have faith in their current roster. They don't believe that their current stars can draw the same numbers as the legends. And you know why? Because they haven't built them properly. Roman Reigns is the only full-time star they've successfully built in the last decade. 1 in 10 years! That's pathetic for a company with WWE's resources. And now with Cena's retirement tour, is going to spend the next year focusing on nostalgia instead of building the future. We're going to get Cena versus every single legend and current star on the roster. Cena versus Randy Orton one more time. Cena versus Roman. Cena versus whoever they want to give that rub to. But here's the question. Does the Cena rub even matter anymore? How many people have beaten John Cena in the past and gone on to become megastars? Think about it. The Nexus, buried. Bray Wyatt, stop-start booking. The list goes on. The only people who truly benefited from the Cena rub were people who are already established, or people WWE was actually committed to building. Roman Reigns, AJ Styles, CM Punk back in the day. So when Cena goes through this retirement tour and puts people over, is it going to matter, or is WWE going to fumble the ball again? I want to be optimistic. I want to believe that WWE has learned from their mistakes, but their track record says otherwise. And here's another thing that nobody is talking about. What happens to the locker room morale when a part-timer comes in and immediately gets positioned above everyone else? You've got guys like Seth Rollins, who we'll talk about in a minute, who've given their bodies to this company. They've wrestled through injuries. They've carried the company through its toughest periods. And then Cena shows up after being gone for months, and suddenly he's the focal point? I'm not saying Cena doesn't deserve respect. I'm not saying he shouldn't have a retirement tour. What I'm saying is WWE needs to balance their focus. They need to use Cena's star talent to elevate the current roster, not overshadow them. Drop a comment right now. Do you think John Cena's retirement tour will help or hurt the current WWE roster? Because this is a debate we need to have. WWE contract turned down. Alright, now we're getting into the real tea, and this is where things get spicy. There's a WWE contract that was turned down, and when I tell you who turned it down and why, you're going to lose your mind. According to multiple sources, and this has been corroborated by several reliable insiders, WWE offered a massive contract to a top independent talent, and I'm talking main roster money, not NXT money, and this person said no. Now, I can't reveal the exact name because of my source's confidentiality, but I can tell you this. This is someone who's been tearing it up on the independent scene, someone who WWE has been pursuing for months, someone who AEW has also been pursuing, and this person looked at WWE's offer, looked at what they were being promised creatively, and said thanks, but no thanks. Do you understand how unprecedented this is? 5 years ago, 10 years ago, if WWE came calling with a main roster contract, you signed immediately. You didn't ask questions, you didn't negotiate, you signed on the dotted line because WWE was the dream. It was the pinnacle. It was the only place that mattered. But times have changed, and WWE is scrambling to figure out why their name value isn't what it used to be. Let me break down why this person reportedly turned down the contract, and this is going to expose everything wrong with WWE's current system. Reason number 1, creative control, or lack thereof. This talent wanted guarantees about their character direction. They wanted to know they wouldn't be subject to the whims of writers who have never worked a match in their lives. They wanted protection for being turned into a comedy act, or being given a racist stereotype gimmick, or being buried because a writer backstage doesn't get them. And you know what WWE said? They said they couldn't guarantee that. They said creative is fluid. They said you have to trust the process. Trust the process? Are you kidding me? We've seen the process. The process gave us Retribution. The process gave us the multiple failed versions of Bobby Lashley. The process buried Karrion Kross. The process has destroyed more careers than it's built. Reason number 2, schedule demands. WWE wanted this person on the road 200 plus days a year. They wanted them at every live event, every television taping, every media appearance. And while they were offering